Hey, welcome back to YT Finance, and today we are talking about Palantir Technologies PLTR stock. We will go over the newest PLTR stock price targets and price predictions by analysts, then we will discuss the latest Palantir stock news, followed by us briefly talking about Palantir's approaching earnings report and how many PLTR shares you need to become a millionaire in 5 years. Lastly, we will discuss why Cathie Wood of ARK Invest has sold some of her Palantir stock, which she then used to buy and invest into a stock that Elon Musk is connected with. Go and press the like button right now for more PLTR stock news updates. Comment down below your personal Palantir stock price targets. Turn on all subscription notifications to stay informed, and now let's get right into today's stories. Recently, Cathie Wood has sold almost 400,000 Palantir shares at around $26 per share, worth well over $10 million. Cathie Wood did this purposefully before Palantir's approaching earnings report, which is set to be announced on November 9th prior to market open. This does not mean that Cathie Wood has lost faith in Palantir, as some would have you believe, but instead she is rebalancing her ARK ETFs, such as her ARKF, ARKW, and ARKK ETFs, which she does periodically. This is also great risk management on Cathie Wood's part, because she is taking profits before earnings, so she does not have to speculate if earnings will be positive or negative, because she has already covered herself by taking profits. Cathie Wood of ARK Invest also sold $19.8 million worth of Pinterest shares, but she bought over 167,000 shares of a 3D printing company that works directly with Elon Musk's SpaceX company, which is called Velo3D. And we have covered this company on the channel already, and the ticker symbol is VLD. Now let's talk about PLTR stock, which has gained over 155% since its IPO. So even if you invested $100,000 into Palantir's initial public offering, you would only be 1/4 of your way there to being a Palantir millionaire. But what if we keep its current growth trajectory of 0.23% growth on average per day, or 150% growth per year compounding? How long would you need to reach $1 million? So, if you had 10 shares at the IPO, it would take you 4,000 days to compound to $1 million, or if you had 1,000 shares, it would take you 2,000 days, or if you had 10,000 shares, it would take you 1,000 days to reach $1 million, according to its current growth rate. However, this would be absurd because this would require that you invested into the IPO, and it would require that you didn't sell any shares during this time, and Palantir maintained this amazing growth rate year after year for an extended period of time from anywhere between 2.5 years and 11 years. So now that we know the math behind Palantir, how can we use this to our advantage? Well, let's start with Palantir's price to sales ratio, or PS ratio, which is around 29. This ratio indicates how much money investors are paying for the company's stock per dollar of the company's sales. So ideally, a lower number is better. So let's see how Palantir's PS ratio compares to their competition that are either in the same or similar sectors. The company that really stands out from this chart is Snowflake, because their PS ratio is insane at 108, or even CrowdStrike, whose PS ratio is 55. These are extremely high PS ratios in general, especially when compared to Palantir's, so you are getting more bang for your buck with PLTR stock than you're getting with some of these other companies at the moment. We even have companies like Amazon on this chart, whose PS ratio is very good at only 3.9. As a general rule of thumb, normally the larger or older a company is, the lower their PS ratio seems to be. Now, Palantir's PS ratio could climb even higher to 40 or 50, depending on what the stock price does, or it could fall down to 18 to 22, which in both instances would provide us with pros and cons. And since we don't know what will happen in the future, we will perform our price target calculations based on Palantir's historic ratios and their current projections for their earnings report. Now, the current forecasts for Palantir's Q3 report that we want them to beat is $385 million worth of revenue and over a 30% revenue growth rate, a 22% adjusted operating margin, and over $300 million worth of free cash flow. With these statistics, it is not unreasonable to project a 30% stock price appreciation year after year, starting at $25. So what would this look like? Well, at a 30% compounding annual growth rate, which is a very conservative estimation, the stock price would be worth in 2022 at only $32.50, and then $42.25 the year after, then $54.93 in 2024, and at $71.40 by 2025. However, based on Q3 projections onward, a 40% CAGR is reasonable to think, as well as a 50% CAGR if we are being bullish. Regarding a 40% CAGR for the PLTR stock price predictions, we would get $34 by 2022, $47 by 2023, $66 by 2024, and $92 by 2025. Likewise, with a 50% CAGR by 2022, we would have a $36 price target. By 2023, we would have $54. By 2024, it would be worth $81. And by 2025, we would have a $122 stock price target for PLTR. Due to these very reasonable price targets that forecast that the PLTR stock price could be over $100 per share by 2025, investors should be very excited to own PLTR stock, especially considering that the company is set to bring in over $4 billion in 2025. This means that if you want to be a PLTR stock millionaire by 2025, you would need at least a 40% stock appreciation rate and 11,000 shares, or at a 50% growth rate, you would need 8,200 shares of PLTR. But this would cost you around $286,000 or $213,000 as an initial investment to achieve this level of wealth. Now, we also should not anticipate a straight and steady growth line on the stock chart because this stock is very volatile. So you are going to have to stomach the volatility and downtrends and double down when the stock falls for you to truly capitalize on this stock's appreciation over the next 3 to 5 years, where the stock could potentially quadruple in price. Now, you might be thinking if you use leverage, margin, and debt on this stock, you could at minimum double your money in half the time or potentially multiply your gains by 8 times. So let me give you some possible scenarios and then I will tell you what I am personally doing for this stock. But first, I want to quote from the article which says this: options can provide leverage. This means an option buyer can pay a relatively small premium for market exposure in relation to the contract value. An investor can see large percentage gains from comparatively small, favorable percentage moves in the underlying product. Leverage also has downside implications. If the underlying stock price does not rise or fall as anticipated during the lifetime of the option, leverage could magnify the investment's percentage loss. Options offer their owners a predetermined set risk. However, if the owner's options expire with no value, this loss can be the entire amount of the premium paid for the option." End quote. We will be utilizing options in our first scenario to use leverage safely, and we will be using long-dated options, also known as leap options. We will put the expiration date as January 19th of 2024 with a strike price of $40. But even if we buy leap options for $4.75 with a strike price of $40, if the PLTR stock price hits $47 per share by, say, 2023, or if the stock goes to $54 by 2023, at best we would only double or maybe triple our investment when all is said and done, which is not really amazing, especially since we're using leverage. So instead of a $40 strike price, what if we do a $27 strike price? If we assume $8 for each PLTR leap option with a $27 strike price at a 40% or even a 50% compounding annual growth rate, this still would not get us to where we really want to be. At best, we're not going to triple or quadruple our earnings. At best, we're going to gain probably around 1.5 times to 2.5 times return over the next 2 years. So since we are already set to quadruple our earnings and gains in the next 4 to 5 years, it's much safer to simply buy the shares and hold it without using options or any type of leverage, which is what I am personally doing. If you hold PLTR stock or shares at an average price between $22 and $28 and you plan to hold long term, you look to be in a good position, especially if you got the stock at IPO, or if you own this at an average price lower than $20, you are looking very good for a long-term hold. However, if your average price is higher than $28, feel free to average that price down by buying on dips, but make sure to not overexpose yourself to a single stock while doing this because it adds unnecessary risk to your portfolio, so please be aware of that. All in all, the PLTR PLTR stock price is predicted to be worth between $90 and $120 by 2025, which is set to reward Palantir stockholders very handsomely. But what do you all think? Comment your thoughts down below, like this video right now if you haven't already, subscribe if you are new, and I will see you in the next YT video.